Hi, a little bit more progress. Here we go. Looks a little nicer now. It's good to not have the repeating grey afterwards. We've got a threshold of about this big, which is a bit unnecessary, but it's quite good. So what this is like a separate surface that's under the map surface, and it basically just repeats one tile that we give it, so it's like ever extended land that you're not really meant to be able to access, and it saves us having to make an extra big map just so that we can cull the player's vision. But typically maybe we want to make the maps a bit bigger to avoid so much of this, but that's alright. And you can see that the trees are drawing more properly. You can still see there's no collision yet, and the downward facing walls I've got to do as well. But the programming breakthrough here is that in our enter new map steps in create map surface, so this is where all the drawing's done. After we do the first drawing, which is follows the basic global rules that we've set out for our maps, I've got this switch statement here, so for the town map we run these special controls, and we're passing the surface in that we've created here and then returning that surface back out when we're done with it here. You can see my sprite here, it's just easily has the 4 versions of the tree, and we quite simply loop through all of the tiles again. When we find one of those tree tiles which is stored in maptile.r3, we check since we're going from the top left and we're going right and then down right, down right, down right, like that. First part of the tree we'll always run into is the top left corner that we were drawing before, and so when we hit one of those, we take one step to the right, one step down, and one step right and down, and we change all of those to be the appropriate 4 corners of the tree. And then we also use our temporary array map temp, which we set as false before we did any of this. We kind of flag those changes that we made because the next step will hit that same tree tile to the right, which is also R3, but since we've already run the post process over that, we don't want to repeat the steps. And yeah, it's very simple. Of course we need to do a bounds check as well. We don't really need to if we make our maps properly, but if we didn't have these checks and then there was a tree and then the next spot overflowed the bounds of the array, then we'd have a crash, which isn't necessarily a bad thing to leave in because it kind of means that we accidentally made our map not proper. Cool, good stuff, man. I will pack it up there, I think, and on the next episode of Henez, and on the next episode of Programming Adventures with Henez the developer, man, we will probably still be doing more work on our map stuff, or maybe we won't. I don't know, man. You'll just have to be there to find out. Alright, I got a bit of a mystery on my hands. Check this out. Oop, didn't see it. How strange. I didn't notice this blinking before, but I haven't touched the menu since the equipment and formation, or since whatever episode I added the blinking in. Damn, dude, I gotta put on my detective hat to get my pipe out, do some digging. Huh? Mystery solved, boys. What was happening is at the end of one of these drawers, I believe it was draw player boxes maybe, because I got to run the alpha through all of it now, I had to draw set alpha here based on the progress of that menu start, and I forgot to, after all of it, reset the alpha to 1, and now that the main menu, now that I actually have to draw the background here, I have to draw the background surface, it's actually being affected by that draw alpha. I suppose when Game Maker was drawing the background itself, it wasn't being affected by that, so yeah, good job team, we did it. Dude, I'm locked out of my village, help! Help me! Help! Hey fellas, I'm back again. I'm going to show you some more work I've done on the map loading in. The first thing you probably noticed is I've got my collision blocks loading onto stuff that's meant to be collision. Obviously I'm showing them just so that I can verify that they're on the right tiles. Can't walk into them. Actually, this makes it hard to show, but I've distinguished the normal brick walls from the downward facing brick walls as well, but you can't see them at all with the collision models on them, so I'll probably do a quick run after this. You'll also notice I've got a bunch of entities going. Namely, we've got our helpful little NPCs from before. So you can see if I talk to him, ooh, that text kind of looks familiar, doesn't it? Well, that's because they're all instances of the same NPC. Naturally, they would be different NPCs with different visuals and their own text, you know, whatnot, but we haven't gotten around to doing that. You can also see that while this one's like wandering around, a lot of these ones aren't moving at all. So that required I had to distinguish between NPCs that will actually move around and ones that just stand there. They should still react appropriately if I talk to them, so if I go sideways, yep. Great. And originally the NPCs, much like the player characters, they didn't walk on the spot like they do, but it actually, I think it looks a little bit nicer with them walking on the spot. I'm undecided if I'll do that with my player characters or not. And along with the NPCs, I've got like my pots and barrels and my chests in that I had before, so it's all the same. Still don't have functionality attached to them beyond being able to open them. Yeah, that's where we're at. Also, we actually start when we load into the game. We don't load into the tile at 0, 0. We're able to specify a tile. I'll do a quick run without the collision models on. I should probably have it attached to a key that I can toggle, but it's fine. Load back in, yeah, you can see all the downward facing walls. They are intelligently swapping when necessary, which makes it look a bit better. It's cool. I have an urge to go and open this chest. Great, so I'll show you how I achieve that. If we check again to our ever evolving enter new map, we've got some new entries, namely this map spawning, the create map collision and the add map objects. And when we actually call enter new map, as well as providing the map, we also provide a starting index, because maps can have multiple entry points, you know, if you're going forth and back, or lots of reasons to have multiple starts. So if we go to our map declaration, you can see with the maps I've specified 2 possible starting locations at tile 521 and 38.9, and they both correspond to the 2 stairs in our little test map. And that I'm also running this set map tile collision, where the map tiles we throw into there, which is R2, R3, Y1, B0, when we read the map data and then draw everything, we run create map collision, and that just compares against those tiles and creates a collision object on top of them. Great, easy peasy. Now in terms of add map objects, this is a little less elegant of a solution, but I'll open it up. Add map objects pretty much splits between the specific map that we're entering, so each map will have their own. In this case, this is what towns one looks like. Pretty simple. It's just X and Y's of placing pots, some barrels, some chests, and then the NPCs as well. NPCs, they need a bit more information. Later on, I think the way I'll do it is I'll just have unique objects for every NPC, I think, and then in that way when I do... Actually, I'm undecided. Maybe I will just use the one object NPC and change around its properties, because I think the big thing is changing around the dialogue object that's attached to it, which is where it will have its text, because obviously, well, each NPC will have its own text, but it may have extended functionality on top of that, like a shopkeeper or something. And then I give it a facing direction to start off with, which is only really important if the last argument, which is has movement, is false, because that means it just stays in place. Cool. There's probably ways to do this better. With the pots and barrels, I could probably do what my original solution was going to be, which is use this second map surface to determine where pots and barrels and stuff will be, because I'm actually thinking the way I'll do pots and barrels is that they might have randomized items completely, or not completely randomized within reason, whereas the chests will remain the standard functionality where the reward from the chest is completely deterministic, which means what we're going to have to do very soon when we start moving between maps is we're going to need a way to remember if chests have been opened or not, because otherwise if I exit the map, load another map, and then reload a map, and I'm replacing all these objects, the pots, barrels, chests, they all need to remember if they've actually been accessed or not. But in terms of the rewards, I'm thinking pots and barrels will generate a reward on creation that they have, a random one, you know, more lower value rewards, and the very specific high value rewards will be in those chests that you can, in the chest, as is standard with these kinds of games. And if I go with that solution, then I don't actually need to manually place all the pots and barrels like I am here. I could possibly read them in a format like this, because I don't need to run additional functionality afterwards. Whereas with the chests, when I am placing the chests, I need to give them other information, such as, well, the only key thing I need to give them is I need to hand give them a item that they could possibly contain, which makes it a little harder to have a more generalized way of loading them all in. But I'm quite happy with something like this. It's not super elegant, but what can you do about it? Neat. I think that's it for now. I don't know what I'll work on tomorrow, so it's going to be a mystery. Ooh, and a Halloween spooky mystery. You guys know what I'm saying? A little spooker mystery. It's going to be real spooky, I think, for the Spooktober Spook Fest Halloween. Have a good one, guys. Thanks. Peace.